I craned my head upwards and noticed a piece of steel decking I'd been standing on was still perched over my head, perilously caught in the web of a beam. Its edges are razor sharp, and it was pointed right at me. Now I began to get nervous. If my twisting would have caused it to become dislodged, it would surely come down on me like a meat cleaver, and not only would I be splattered all over the concrete, but I would be neatly sliced in two. With all of my head craning, I knocked my hard hat off and watched it fall and shrink below until it finally clattered on the pavement. I counted about 5 seconds of airtime. I was reminded of an ironworker called Ram. He said he would sometimes fall on purpose just to prove he didn't need a ladder. Ram always wore sunglasses and plastered his high hat with several obscene stickers. His favorite slogan was, "High steel sex appeal, baby." When I would wave to Ram from the other side of the building, he would always respond by flexing one of his enormous arms. Because of our time together on the steel, we became easy friends. Our favorite pastime during work was to mock the other tradesmen and throw bolts at them when they weren't looking, and then duck out of sight. Ram was short compared to the other guys and would often brag of cheating on his wife over the weekend during his last episode of riotous drinking. Last year, Ram fell from the 3rd level of a partially finished building, and he landed on some decking on the 2nd level. He was helping to land a massive bundle of deck from the crane and simply stepped off the edge. He said it happened so fast, he didn't have a chance to catch himself. 5 months later, he was able to leave the hospital after recovering from fractured ribs and a collapsed lung. He was back on the iron by the end of the year. Poor sucker. He had a wife and 3 kids, and ironwork was the only way he knew how to make money. After his return to work, his wife would drive him to the job site at lunchtime, and the guys would focus on their own bulk bags when she cried openly and clutched at Ram's shirt as he went back to work after eating his lunch with her. She'd always be left, standing by her car, arms crossed, tears coursing their way down her cheeks. I waited for the lift to be brought, and I thought about my fiancée. I wondered how I was going to tell her. She was the soft, impressionable type and clearly disapproved of my job. I think her greatest fear in life is being alone. How can I tell her about this fall? I could say I had a close call at work and it ended fine, but I know she would press me for details. She would hold my face in her hands and make me look into those eyes. Oval and penetrating. And as always, when she did that, I would melt and tell her everything. It happened like that when I fell the last time. It was only from a ladder, about 15 feet up, but that was different. I had a feeling she wasn't going to take this one as well. Lower straps of my harness began to dig in my legs. The men on the ground were having trouble with the lift, apparently, and I could see another one coming from the other end of the job site. In the meantime, I thought of the piece of decking perched over my bare head. Might come down and end it all for me. Or my harness might give way. Seconds. I'd miss my fiancée. I'd miss my life. I looked around me, searching for a friendly face, something to put me at ease. I wanted to look upon something familiar, something that to part this world with, should it really be my time. I couldn't see Clayton. I assumed he made his way to the mason's scaffold, which was hidden from my sight. I desperately wanted companionship at that moment. My harness was turning and I became dizzy. I closed my eyes. I wanted to tell the other guys how I felt about it. That I appreciate each of them. I knew they were all committed to ironwork and to each other. They stuck up for each other, and they all knew their jobs was the hardest and most respected job in construction. They had honor in their work. I thought of all the great things that ironwork was, and it made me proud. Then I thought of my fiancée and her look of fear and her trembling lower lip when she thought of me falling. Now I understood what she felt. It was real for her. Even though I worked all day on 5 inches of steel over wide open space, dying hadn't been real for me. Now I understood the pained, thoughtful look old ironworkers like Smitty wore when they saw the younger ones scamper and race over the smaller sized beams. They were thinking of old friends that had fallen and died. Their eyes told of the pain their wives felt each morning, watching their husbands leave for work, not knowing if they'd return. The wind picked up. I heard my harness creak under the strain of my weight. I thought about Clayton, Smitty, Ram, and how they were committed to something that brought real meaning to their lives and yet might kill them. I thought about the people that loved them, how I loved them, and how I would soon be leaving them behind and quitting ironwork forever. I heard their voices loud in my ears and saw their tan, weathered faces forever etched in my mind. I thought of my future wife and kids. I thought about all the wonderful things life still held in store for me. And I came to grips with life's greatest fear. The harness creaked. The wind blew. And I turned slowly in the breeze.